So, what would it take to make peace in Israel between Israel and the Hamas in Gaza Strip? Joe Rogan, American public figure, is asked this question, and take a look at how he handles it.
I've seen many videos of atrocities being committed by both sides, which is just a horrible consequence of war and conflict.
What do you think? I'm Israel. You're the Palestinians in Gaza. If every one of the people in Gaza laid down the arms and stopped attacking, what would Israel, do to you?
It's a good question.
Nothing. They've tried it 5 different times. They've literally stop attacking. Israel has never, not one time in history, initiated any conflict. Every single one of those things that you're pointing to is a retaliatory attack by a terrorist organization. But if that was switched, where Israel, you, Hamas in Gaza, I take all of my arms and all of my protection and I laid them down, what would Hamas do? They would kill every single one of us. That's what they do. That's what they're sworn to do. That's their motto and the origin of their existence, all the way back to the Grand Mufti traveling to Hitler to ask, how do we solve the Jewish problem? Like, you want to follow from the Hamas to the Muslim Brotherhood, all the way back to the Grand Mufti, to Mujahideen, and you see the origins of one thing, which is, how do I solve the Jewish problem, is to eradicate and kill them. That is what Hamas came from. Not the Palestinians, not those poor people stuck in Gaza. But in that problem, if all of Hamas just went away, we would have peace. If they laid down their arms and they stopped murdering innocent civilians and raping women and killing babies, you'd have peace. If the other side laid down their arms, they would all be murdered, all 7.5 million of them, until they just were walking in blood through the Jordan River. How do you solve this problem? The radicals have to be eliminated. The terrorists have to go away. That is not, I'm not conflating the Palestinians and the terrorists. Those are separate things. But if there's 2.5 million people that are living in Gaza that are allowing 30,000 terrorists to run them, at some point, the olive branch cannot be extended from Israel when 30,000 people are using that region to launch attacks into their sovereign nation.
It's interesting that the hatred against the Jews, anti-Semitism, is different to other hates, to other conflicts around the world and in history. This one is one of total eradication. We actually mentioned this at the Seder, millions of Seder tables around the world for thousands of years, all the way back till Moses came out of Egypt 3,338 years ago. V'hi she'amda lavoteinu v'lanu. And this is what has stood for us and for our ancestors. That in every single generation there are those who rise up against us to eliminate us, to wipe us out. This is not a territorial conflict. This is not a matter of convenience or governance or policy. This is about total eradication. And the only way that we're able to survive, we declare at the Seder, as we pass the gavel, the torch, the tradition, on to the next generation, that it is God Almighty who saves us from their hands. They hate us with an irrational hatred. It doesn't make any sense. The degree of animosity, the intensity of the animosity, it doesn't make any sense. They are here to wipe us out. If we would have to drop our weapons, there'd be peace. Sorry, if they would have dropped their weapons, there'd be peace. If we would have dropped our weapons, there'd be no Jews left. It is only through our commitment and connection to God Almighty that we are able to endure and survive all of the enemies that have tried to wipe us out over the generations. And it really is unbelievably remarkable when you look back at history and you realize that every single nation that has tried to destroy us has disappeared. We've outlived them all. Whether it was Pharaoh in Egypt, the Babylonians who destroyed our first temple, the Romans who destroyed our second temple, the Inquisition of the Spanish, the Crusaders, the Cossacks, the Nazis, the Soviet communists, or now the jihadi Arab, Palestinian, Hamas, Hezbollah axis of evil. We have always outlasted and outlived our enemies by divine protection. Now is the time, friends, for us to strengthen our commitment to God Almighty, because when we do so, adding in Torah, adding in mitzvahs, adding in our faith, adding in our trust in God, it's then that we fulfill the directive of the Seder. Though in every generation they're trying to wipe us out, we will outlive them, we will survive, because God is protecting us from those who are trying to destroy us.